Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. We will continue our App the Matrix Labs, the video number 95. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. While still working with the different AI tools to generate complex troubleshooting scenarios concerning our volume shadow copy, we need to see how we can solve problems concerning backup, especially using the VSS technology. I will try to concentrate also on one of the most famous backup solutions, Veeam. So I asked the AI tools to create some backup problems concerning the Veeam when it uses the volume shadow copy to see how we can solve these issues. Anyway, before going further, let's see Claude. I asked him to create more complex scenarios, but I didn't mention Veeam in it just to make sure it can provide us with some scenarios that we can use, or it can simulate something in our practical life, if you can see such solutions. So let's see the answer of Claude. Just a moment, guys. So let's continue, guys. Here we will read the answer and see uh, how Claude will create uh, a scenario concerning the volume shadow copy troubleshooting.
How to handle these issues in a production environment. How to create automated recovery procedures for these. Senior IT. All right, let's tackle some more complex scenarios that involve multiple components. Scenario 7. Multi-writer cascade failure. Copy. Multiple errors. Event ID 12289. Multiple writers failed. Event ID 8193. System writer error. Event ID 7023. VSS service terminated unexpectedly. This is a complex one that often occurs after Windows updates. How would you approach it? Junior IT. That looks complicated with multiple failures. I guess we need to check all the writers and maybe restart the VSS service? But I'm not sure about the correct order or if there are dependencies between the writers. Senior IT. Good thinking. Here's how to handle cascading failures systematically. PowerShell. Copy. Number 1. Create writer dependency map $writer dependencies equals at system writer equals at crypt svc, rpcss, event system, asr writer equals at vss, event system, registry writer equals at vss, event system, com plus regdb writer equals at vss, event system, sysap. Hashtag 2. Check VSS service state and dependencies $service states equals at for each $writer in $writer dependencies. Keys. For each $service in $writer dependencies $writer. $svc equals get service $service error action. Silently continue $service states. $service equals $svc. Status hashtag 3. Systematic service restart with dependency handling function reset VSS environment. Hashtag stop services in reverse dependency order $services equals $service states. Keys sort object ascending for each $service and $services. Write host stopping $service. Stop service $service force start sleep seconds. 2 hashtag clear VSS state remove item C. /windows /system 32 /strace.dll.log. Error action silently continue hashtag start services in dependency order $services equals $service states. Keys sort object for each $service in. $services. Write host starting $service. Start service $service start sleep seconds 5 hashtag verify service started $status equals get service $service. Status if $status in running. Write warning failed to start $service. Return $false. Return $true. Hashtag 4. Verify writer states after reset function test writer states $failed writers equals at $writers equals sadmin list writers for each $writer in $writer dependencies. Keys. If $writer select string $writer select string state /1 /. Write host $writer is stable. else $failed writers plus equals $writer, return $failed writers. Scenario 8. Storage pool VSS failure with deduplication. Copy. Errors. Event ID 12321. Shadow copy creation failed. Event ID 8193. Unexpected error in storage pool. Warning. Deduplication conflict detected. This is a complex storage scenario. How would you start troubleshooting this? Junior IT. I can see it involves storage pools and deduplication. Should we check the storage pool health first? But I'm not sure how to handle the deduplication conflict. Senior IT. Great start. Here's the comprehensive approach. PowerShell. Copy. Number 1. Check storage pool health function test storage pool health $pools equals get storage pool where object is primordial. EQ $false for each $pool and $pools. $health equals $pool that health status $operational equals $pool the operational status if $health any healthy or $operational any okay. Right warning storage pool $pool friendly name has issues return $false return $true hashtag 2. Check the duplication status function reset dedup state $volumes equals get dedup volume for each $volume and $volumes. Hashtag stop active dedup jobs get dedup job stop dedup job hashtag verify no optimization is running start sleep seconds 10 hashtag run garbage collection start dedup job type garbage collection volume $volume volume hashtag wait for completiondo start sleep seconds $30 job equals get dedup job where object volume EQ volume volume while $job hashtag 3. Create comprehensive storage check script function test storage VSS health. Hashtag check physical disks $unhealthy disks equals get physical disk where object health status. Any healthy if $unhealthy disks. Right warning found unhealthy disks. $unhealthy disks. Format table friendly name. Health status return $false. Hashtag check storage spaces $unhealthy spaces equals get virtual disk where object health status. Any healthy if $unhealthy spaces. Right warning found unhealthy virtual disks. $unhealthy spaces format table friendly name. Health status return $false. Hashtag check deduplication health $dedup volumes equals get dedup volume for each. $volume and $dedup volumes. $status equals get dedup status volume $volume. Volume if $status that last optimization result. Any 0. Right warning deduplication. Issues on $volume volume. Return $false return $true. Would you like to see more complex scenarios involved?
So as we can see, this is two complex scenarios that involves a couple of errors. Some are multiple writer errors and something related to storage pool and deduplication. Actually, I didn't understand the two topics, so I asked ChatGPT to explain these cases because actually I am not familiar with storage pool and deduplication. But anyway, I think here he will begin explaining these steps. So let's see what is the answer of ChatGPT concerning these two cases.
Sure. Let's break down TOS Scenario 7 and Scenario 8 in a way that's easy to understand. We'll go through what each scenario is about, what the error messages mean, and how to approach troubleshooting them step by step. Scenario 7, Multi-Writer Cascade Failure. What's happening? This scenario involves multiple errors related to the Volume Shadow Copy Service, VSS, in Windows. VSS is crucial for creating backup copies or snapshots of your system. When VSS encounters issues, it can affect backups and other operations that rely on it. Error messages. 1. Event ID 12289, multiple writers failed. 2. Event ID 8193, system writer error. 3. Event ID 723, VSS service terminated unexpectedly. These errors indicate that several components called writers that interact with VSS are failing, often after a Windows update. How to approach it. 1. Understand the components. VSS writers. These are components that ensure data consistency during the backup process. Examples include the system writer, registry writer, etc. VSS service, the main service that manages shadow copies. 2. Check writer dependencies. Writers depend on other system services to function correctly. For example, the system writer depends on services like CryptSvis, RPCSS, and Event System. 3. Systematically restart services. Stop services in reverse order. First, stop services that depend on others to avoid conflicts. Clear VSS state. Remove any existing VSS logs that might be causing issues. Start services in correct order. Restart services based on their dependencies to ensure everything initializes properly. 4. Verify writer states. After restarting, check each writer to ensure they're in a stable state. If any writer is still failing, further investigation is needed. Simplified steps. 1. Map out dependencies. Know which services each writer depends on. 2. Check service status. Use PowerShell commands to see if these services are running correctly. 3. Restart services carefully. Stop and start services in the right order to prevent further issues. 4. Verify stability. Ensure all writers are functioning after the restart process. Scenario 8. Storage pool VSS failure with deduplication. What's happening? This scenario deals with storage issues, specifically with storage pools and deduplication. Deduplication helps save space by eliminating duplicate copies of data. Error messages. 1. Event ID 112321 shadow copy creation failed. 2. Event ID 8193 unexpected error in storage pool. 3. Warning, deduplication conflict detected. These errors suggest problems with creating shadow copies used for backups and conflicts within the deduplication process, possibly affecting storage health. How to approach it. 1. Check storage pool health. Ensure that all storage pools are healthy and operating correctly. Storage pools group physical disks into a single logical unit. 2. Check deduplication status. Look into the deduplication process to see if there are any ongoing jobs or conflicts that need to be resolved. 3. Comprehensive storage check. Verify the health of physical disks, virtual disks, and the deduplication status to ensure there are no underlying hardware or configuration issues. Simplified steps. 1. Assess storage pools. Use PowerShell to check if your storage pools are healthy. If not, identify which pools are having issues. 2. Manage deduplication. Stop any active deduplication jobs to prevent conflicts. Run garbage collection to clean up and optimize deduplication. 3. Verify overall storage health. Check the health status of physical and virtual disks. Ensure deduplication is running smoothly without errors. Understanding the PowerShell scripts. Both scenarios include PowerShell scripts to automate and streamline the troubleshooting process. Here's a simplified explanation of what these scripts do. For Scenario 7, multi-writer cascade failure. 1. Create a dependency map. Defines which services each VSS writer depends on. 2. Check service states. Retrieves the current status, running, stopped of all dependent services. 3. Reset VSS environment. Stops all related services in reverse order to avoid dependency issues. Clears VSS logs that might be causing problems. Restarts the services in the correct order and checks if they start successfully. 4. Test writer states. Checks each VSS writer to ensure they're in a stable state after the reset. For Scenario 8, storage pool VSS failure with deduplication. 1. Check storage pool health. Verifies that all storage pools are healthy and operational. 2. Reset deduplication state. Stops any ongoing deduplication jobs. Runs garbage collection to clean up deduplication data and resolve conflicts. 3. Comprehensive storage check. Checks the health of physical disks and virtual disks. Verifies that deduplication processes are running without issues. Key takeaways. Systematic approach. Always approach complex issues step by step, checking dependencies and system health systematically. Use automation tools. PowerShell scripts can help automate repetitive tasks, ensuring consistency and saving time. Understand dependencies. Knowing how different services and components interact helps in troubleshooting effectively. Verify after changes. After making changes, like restarting services, always verify to ensure the issue is resolved. By following these structured approaches, you can effectively troubleshoot and resolve complex VSS and storage-related issues in your IT environment.
So as we can see here, this is the explanation of these two cases. So this appears to be cases related to volume shadow copy. The first is with multiple writers failure, and he is checking these writers and its correspondent services and the dependencies of each service. Okay, so this is the first case. The second case, he is checking an issue that the volume shadow copy didn't take a shadow copy of a storage pool, I think related to a deduplication job was running at the time of the maybe the volume shadow copy. So this is two cases, okay, we can deal with, and here is the scripts that we can use. So I think this need to be tested uh, uh, tested very carefully, because I think sometimes these scripts are not correct, but in most cases I think it's correct, because Claude exiles or its most strength is in its coding capabilities. Okay, so as we can see here, I asked him to summarize what issues we have talked about concerning volume shadow copy so far. So he's listing the errors that we were working with. These are the errors, their numbers, the description. Okay, each one of these shadow copy storage gross issues. So we can see here he is grouping them with uh, uh, topic. For example, as you see here, basic volume shadow copy writer failures, storage space issues, SQL Server VSS writers issues, Exchange VSS writer problems. So wait for a moment, guys. So let's continue, guys. Here I am asking him to provide me with the errors that we have already discussed until now. We see that we have basic VSS writer failures. This is the error and explanation. Storage space issues, SQL Server VSS writer issues, Exchange VSS writer problems, shadow copy storage growth issues, system writer failures, VSS provider registration problems, Hyper-V VSS writer issues, multi-writer cascade features or failures that we have discussed from a couple of seconds, storage pool VSS failures, storage pool volume shadow copy. I think this is concerning the writer maybe. For the volume shadow copy, for the storage pool, I think he's taking a shadow copy from a storage pool, and he was encountered by a duplication job. So I think the VSS failed because of the deduplication job maybe. So here is asking me if we need to explain or go to further scenarios, asking him to if we can see more scenarios related to backup solutions like Veeam and its relation to VSS, as most backup solutions have this method used in their software, the VSS. So let's see here the answer of Claude 3.5 Sonnet concerning errors, Veeam backup application aware processing failure. Let's see the answer or begin the answer from here.
Involving clustering? How to handle these.
Sorry, I think he's to. Let's go further, and we need to begin from here.
Senior IT. Excellent question. Let's look at common VSS scenarios specifically related to backup solutions like Veeam. Scenario 11. Veeam backup application-aware processing failure. Copy. Error. Application-aware processing failed event ID. Veeam backup error details. VSS underscore retriable. 0x800423F3. How would you start troubleshooting this? Junior IT. I know Veeam uses VSS for application consistency, so I'd probably check the VSS writers first. But I'm not sure about the specific requirements for application-aware processing. Senior IT. Good thinking. Here's the systematic approach for backup solution VSS issues. PowerShell. Copy.
What's the problem here?
Check Veeam-specific VSS requirements $critical writers equals at System Writer, SQL Server Writer, MS Search Service Writer, Performance Counters Writer, Shadow Copy Optimization Writer, Registry Writer, #2. Verify critical writers function test backup writers $writers equals sadmin list writers for each $writer and $critical writers. $status equals $writers select string context 0 for $writref, $status match state asterisk backslash 1 backslash. Write warning critical writer $writer not stable return $false return $true. #3. Check VSS provider specifically for backup function test backup VSS provider $providers equals sadmin list providers if not $providers select string Microsoft software shadow copy provider. Write warning Microsoft VSS provider not found return $false return $true. Veeam-specific VSS requirements $critical writers equals at System Writer, SQL Server Writer, MS Search Service. Scenario 12. VSS snapshot timeout during backup. Copy. Error. Veeam backup failed details. Failed to create VSS snapshot 0x800422312. Reason. The VSS operation timed out. This is common with large VMs or busy databases. How would you handle it? Junior IT. I'm guessing we need to check the VSS timeout settings, but I'm not sure where to find them or what values to set. Senior IT. Yes. Here's how to handle backup timeouts. PowerShell. Copy. Number 1. Adjust VSS timeout registry settings $VSS settings equals at timeout server seconds equals 1800 number 30 minutes to mount milliseconds equals 300,000 number 5 minutes max retry count equals temp #registry path for VSS settings $reg path equals HKLM /system /current control set /services /VSS /settings #apply optimize settings for each $setting and $VSS settings. Keys. Set item property path $reg path name $setting value $VSS settings $setting. #2. Check backup load conditions function test backup conditions. #check disk queue link $disk queue equals get counter /physical disk *average. Disk queue length if $disk queue .counter samples .cooked value. GT2. Write warning high disk queue detected return $false #check CPU usage $CPU equals get counter /processor _ total /% processor time if $CPU .counter samples .cooked value. GT80. Write warning high CPU usage detected return $false return $true. Scenario 13. Backup failing due to previous VSS snapshot cleanup. Copy. Error. Shadow copy creation failed details. Previous backup snapshot still exists. 0x81000101. How would you address this issue? Junior IT. Should we clean up the old snapshots first? I've used sadmin delete shadows before, but I'm concerned about affecting other backup jobs. Senior IT. Good concern. Here's a safe approach. PowerShell. Copy. Number 1. Identify backup-related shadows function get backup snapshots $shadows equals sadmin list shadows $backup snapshots equals at for each $shadow in $shadow split if $shadow match set ID. $set ID equals $shadow split : 1 trim $backup snapshots plus equals at set ID equals $set ID time equals get date. $shadow select string creation time split : 1 trim provider equals $shadow select string provider. To string, return $backup snapshots, #2. Save cleanup script function remove stale backup snapshots, perum, $max age hours equals 24, $snapshots equals get backup snapshots, $cutoff time equals get date, add hours, $max age hours, for each, $snapshot and $snapshots, if $snapshot. Time, LT $cutoff time. Write warning removing old snapshot from $snapshot. Time. Sadmin delete shadows /shadow equals $snapshot that set ID /quiet Hashtag 3. Monitor snapshot creation during backup function. Monitor backup VSS $start time equals get date $snaps before equals get backup snapshots. Count hashtag start monitoring do. $current snaps equals get backup snapshots. Count $elapsed equals get date. $start time if $current snaps $t snaps before. Write host new snapshot detected return $true if $elapsed total minutes GT30. Write warning snapshot creation timeout return $false start sleep seconds 10 while $true. Would you like to see more backup specific scenarios? Learn about creating VSS troubleshooting tools specific to backup solutions? Look at how different backup solutions handle VSS differently. Create a backup-specific VSS health check script.
So as you can see here, this is a couple of scenarios, I think very complex, and we can see a lot of scripts created. I think this will help us a lot. Some of them are monitoring, some of them are performance monitoring. This is where I need something to check here is this registry key. If I need to see if it is already there. If we go to regedit to see the volume shadow copy setting, if we try to open this one, let me see if we can go. This is VSS. Where is the setting? Okay, so we can see the setting from here. Then we see the setting, writer blocking. So these are the setting, but I don't know how they are reflected. So these are the setting: DFS writer, AD writer, FRS writer. So if you open one of these are values, but I don't know how to read them. So we can see here the writer, every one of them, the blocking. This is already there, but I do not see this setting: timeout server seconds, time milliseconds. Let's try to see if this key is there. So we can see that these are the values, but anyway, let me see something here. I think these are the keys. So I think maybe the values, okay, the volume shadow copies. So anyway, so he's talking about some values here that are added. Rick Posse will add timeout server milliseconds. So these are, let me check something if I need to verify that this script is correct. Now we can go and ask ChatGPT or ask Copilot, verify if this script is correct. This was correctly specified. For each loopback, check backup conditions. So he's talking about that VSS timeout registry setting is correctly defined with the desired setting. The registry path is correctly specified. Specify the VSS setting reg keys. No, he's taking this from my previous answer. Let's see the documentation of Microsoft. So here is the registry backup. So no, I do not think so. Let me see what are the registry keys. Let me see something here before going. Uh, Perplexity. Let's do this and so these are the keys. Show the copies different in here. So it doesn't contain what Claude is saying about this setting anyway. So you need to take care if this will work or not. And I think the other will work. So we will stop here and come back to continue other scenarios. So let's continue, guys. Here we can see, I think one of the setting or the registry keys is idle timeout. I don't know if these keys are there. So he's saying that VSS timeout registry setting, this is not available, but I think we can search. Let's see if we can search by this title in uh, in the internet. Okay, this is one of the questions. Let's see if we can do that. Uh, Setting, it is recommended. Under this directory, you can create a value labeled idle timeout and set it and input the period between 1 and so, but it is recommended to keep it between 1 and 180 milliseconds. So this is, you can add custom registry keys. So I think this can be done. Okay, so I think maybe Claude is giving us a correct answer, but as I see, it was not added, or I didn't find it as a default registry setting. So anyway, this is a couple of scenarios that Claude generated concerning the volume shadow copy and the Veeam backup. Again, I asked him to generate more. So let's see if the answer is good this time. Also another scenario. I'll help you simulate this learning interaction between a senior and junior IT admin focused on volume shadow copy troubleshooting, particularly with Veeam backup solutions. From my understand, the junior IT admin volume shadow copy serves like a snapshot system that helps backup software create consistent backup even when files are in use. With Veeam, especially, I think the main problem comes from VSS writers being unstable or failing. We typically check this using VSS admin list writer commands, right? When there is a problem, we usually use writers in a failed state instead of a stable. We usually see writers in a failed state instead of a stable. We have seen this when we use this commandlet. Seniority admin, that's a good start, but let's dig deeper into VSS troubleshooting with Veeam. You are correct about checking writer states, but there is a more systematic approach we should follow. Let me outline the key troubleshooting steps. Initial VSS diagnostic. Always start with VSS admin list writers to check writer states. Review Windows event logs, application, and system for VSS related errors. We have seen this a lot of times. Check Veeam backup job logs for specific VSS error codes. For Veeam specifically, we should use the disk shadow utility to isolate whether the issue is with Veeam or VSS itself. Here is the process. This is how we can use disk shadow. This is another utility other than VSS admin that we can use it to troubleshoot VSS problems. Disk shadow, this is I think this is to generate if there is any problems with the partition that you are trying to take a shadow copy from it. So I think all of these settings are to create a text file to see the logs concerning the volume shadow copy when taking, for example, a copy of volume C. So these are the things. Let's see. Would you like to try describing a specific VSS error you have encountered with Veeam backups? Junior IT admin. Well, I have recently saw a backup job fail with the error VSS writer rewritable, retriable. I thought it mean just we need to retry the backup, but it kept failing. I wasn't sure what to check next. Senior IT admin, that's a common scenario. Let's break down to properly troubleshoot this specific error. So first of all, we need to export the writer's status using VSS list writers, C writers.txt, then check related service to these writers, COM plus system application service, volume shadow copy service, Microsoft software shadow copy provider service. For your specific error, this usually indicates a temporary VSS writer issue, potential resource constraints, service timing problems. Let's practice troubleshooting. Can you tell me the steps you would take next with this error? Okay, here is taking about check which VSS writer are failing, restart those specific service, try the backup again. This is what I will do actually. But I'm not entirely sure if that's comprehensive enough or in the right order. Okay, senior IT admin approach had the right elements, but let's deep a more systematic troubleshooting workflow for VSS issues with Veeam backups. Here is what I would recommend. First, list the writers, list the providers, list the shadow copies. Okay, maybe here is referring to maybe a problem with the storage space. Providers, maybe there is a problem with the provider, and list writer. Anyway, so we test all of them or list all of these diagnostic testing. Use this shadow to test VSS functionality independently of Veeam. Okay, this is how we can test the volume shadow copy service by using the disk shadow commandlet, and we will see the output. Service verification, check these critical service in order: COM plus system application service, distributed transaction coordinator, volume shadow copy service, any application specific VSS writer, SQL Exchange. So this depends upon what Veeam is taking backup of, maybe SQL, maybe Exchange, maybe others. So we need to check every specific VSS writer service. Okay. Anyway, so we can see all of these, and then would you like to practice creating a shadow copy test script to isolate VSS issues from Veeam? Okay. Yes, I would like to try that. I understand we use disk shadow to test VSS separately from Veeam, but I'm not sure about all the commandlets needed in the script. Senior IT admin, great. Let's create a basic disk shadow disk test script together. I will walk you through each step. So create a file called vss test.dsh with these commandlets. Okay, commandlets begin backup so and so. To run the test, you need to run this disk shadow s so and so dash so and so result. This will enable verbose logging, is describing the script. Enable verbose logging, set volatile snapshots automatically cleaned up. Okay, so I think this is temporary snapshots. Simulate a backup cycle, test VSS on disk C drive, save results to a log file. So I think here, I think he's talking about this script. All of this, it will begin automatic snapshot of C, which is temporary, and then he will save all of the results of the shadow copy backup process in a text file. So, okay, Try creating this script yourself and let me know if you have encountered any errors. Remember, this helps us determine if the issue is with VSS itself or with the Veeam interaction with VSS. Okay, do you think we should look for the results to indicate a problem? Again, I think I need to take this script maybe and ask ChatGPT to explain it. If you go there and ask ChatGPT 01, let's go and tell him explain this script. So he does a very quick answer. Here is talking about this provider to appear written my disk shadow command line utility in Windows used for creating and managing shadow copies. Snapshots of volume. Shadow copies are essential for creating backups without interrupting running application or service. Set verbose, enable verbose mode. The utility provide detailed output during the execution of the script. Set context volatile, defines the context for the Windows shadow copy operation. Volatile, the shadow copy created are temporary and not persist after a system reboot. This is suitable for operations where long-term storage of shadow copies isn't required. Okay, other contexts like persistent will allow shadow copy to survive reboots, but in case volatile ensures that the shadow copy is short-lived for testing. Begin backup, initialize a backups session, add volume C, specify which volume to include in the backup, and then create the backup. Okay, end backup purpose concludes the backup session. So he will create the backup, then at the end he will end the backup. Purpose concludes the backup session, marks the end of the backup transaction, ensuring all commands between begin backup and end backup are treated as a single unit of work. Okay, that's good. Just like after he finish, he will end the backup, exit, and disk shadow copy. So workflow, disk shadow use case. The script used where scenario where administrator needs to have a quick temporary snapshot of C for purpose like backing up critical data, system state analysis testing. Okay, so this is our purpose testing. Okay, again, I need to ask him something. Here, Claude saying that it is .dsh. Uh, what is .dsh extension? So this is a disk shadow copy script file. Okay, so this is good. Now we have a disk shadow test to make sure that we have our volume shadow copy working and creating a volume shadow copy temporarily backup just to make sure that we have the volume shadow copy working and we don't have any errors with it. Okay, so okay, let's continue with the answer. Try creating this script. Okay, we have seen this. Would you think we should look for in the results to indicate a problem? Okay, I tell him to simulate my answer as a junior IT. Okay, from what I understand in the results, we should look for maybe error messages about writers failing, and I think if the create command fails, that means VSS itself isn't working properly. We have create. Where is the create? This is the one to create the backup. If this fails, then we have a problem with the VSS shadow copy. This is begin the backup, backup of C, create the backup. After finishing, end the backup. If we have stopped at this, then that means that we have a problem with the volume shadow copy service. Okay. Okay, isn't working, but I'm not entirely sure what specific error message would point to VSS versus Veeam issues. Okay, senior IT, good start. Let me help you understand what to look for in a disk shadow test result. Here are the key indicators. Critical error indicators. The shadow copy provider have an expected error. Okay, writer failed messages, RPC server errors, insufficient storage errors. These are all of the errors that we need to focus on when we try to see the VSS result.txt file. Okay. So again, successful indicators: shadow copy created successfully, snapshot set ID, original volume C, shadow copy volume where you have this created. Okay, so if we have successful shadow copy event, we will see these indicators. Okay, common Veeam specific versus VSS native issues. If disk shadow succeeds but Veeam fails, likely a Veeam configuration issue. If both fail with same error, underlying VSS problem. If we see writer timeouts, usually resource constraint. Maybe the writer was not successfully, or he didn't successfully stop the operation on the hard disk, waiting for the application or waiting for the database or the files to create or to continue or to finish their operation on the hard disk. Okay, let's continue. Let's try analyzing a real error log. Here is a common one. What do you think this means? The shadow copy provider has an unexpected error while trying to process the specified operation. And this is the error. I think this is an error related to the writer maybe. Let's see what will be the answer of the junior admin. Looking at that error, I think it means something went wrong with the VSS provider. Since it says shadow copy provider had an expected error, maybe we need to check if Microsoft shadow copy provider service is running, but I'm not completely sure what to check after that. Good thinking, but let's break this down more systematically. Error, this error is indeed a VSS provider error, and your instinct to check the service is good. Here is the complete troubleshooting workflow for this specific error. So this is related to the volume shadow copy provider service. First, let's verify all VSS related services. We have this commandlet to get the Microsoft software shadow copy provider, volume shadow copy service, and Com Plus system application. This is related to the volume shadow copy. So these are the VSS related services. Check VSS providers. Okay, the services, the volume shadow copy provider service, the volume shadow copy service, another service related to the volume shadow copy, and then we have VSN list of providers. Expected outcome or output should show Microsoft software shadow copy provider 1. This is in Microsoft operating system. Any hardware providers if present. This is the expected outcome. So we have these two. Verify VSS related services, check VSS providers. Number 3, common causes of this: corrupted VSS provider registration, resource exhaustion, conflicting third-party VSS providers, permission issues with system volume information folder. This is where you save your volume shadow copy. So this can be an issue for volume shadow copy providers errors. So let's continue. Resolution: stop VSS services. Okay, this is the two we need to stop. Stop the software shadow copy provider service and the volume shadow copy, and then start them again, and then delete all shadow copies. I don't know why he did that, but this is a step. Maybe there is a corrupted shadow copies. Okay, or to begin a fresh start. Okay, let's try these steps. Which one would you do first, and what you look for to know if it worked? I think first we need to do first, let's see here. First he will stop the volume shadow copy service, then the volume shadow copy provider service, and then he will start the volume uh, uh, shadow copy provider service, and then the VSS. I think this sequence is not correct. I think you need to start this, then this. Let's see what are the stepping thing. I think you would like to start checking service first, since usually this is the easiest to check. Also run get service commandlet to make sure everything is running. If you are running but still have error, then maybe we need to try stopping and starting them in order you mentioned. He is saying which order we need to. This is the senior IT, so he is saying that we need to stop VSS and then stop the provider and begin the provider before the service. Okay, or the volume shadow copy service. Okay, anyway, so I'm a bit nervous about running VSS delete shadow copies all. This is the one we're talking about. Wouldn't that delete all our shadow copies? What if users need those for file recovery? So this is one excellent note why we need to do that. The last one. Senior IT admin, excellent concern about the shadow copy deletion. This shows how good operational awareness. Let's clarify this approach. You are absolutely right to start with service checked, at least impactful. Be cautious about deleting shadow copies. Think about user impact. Here is a safer troubleshooting sequence. First of all, we will list all of the shadow copies. Second, we will check service states and dependencies. We'll see the volume shadow copy, the volume shadow copy provider service, the COM plus service. We see the dependencies. Maybe each one of these, if we stop it, maybe it has service dependencies that we need to also restart. Okay, or I don't know, but let's see here what he's talking about. Third, check shadow copy storage. So he's taking a safer approach for the shadow copies, the services and their dependencies, and then the storage. Before deleting shadows, notify users of planned maintenance, verify other backup methods are available, consider resizing instead of deleting. Resizes shadow storage maybe. So we will resize to 10 gigabyte. So again, why he is resizing? Okay, this is a volume shadow copy provider uh, problem. Why he is resizing? Maybe he is suspecting it's a problem with the storage. Anyway, so let's continue with the scenario again. I think before making these changes, we should maybe create a system restore point and check if there is any backup jobs schedule that might run during our maintenance. Also, should we check the event viewer for any related errors before making changes, but I'm not sure what specific event ID to look for VSS issues. So here is he he is a little bit worried before stopping these services and changing the storage configuration. He need to take a system restore point. Okay, good thinking. Let's expand our precautions and add some critical ones you need for troubleshooting or VSS troubleshooting. So pre-change checklist. We will list the writers, list the providers, list the shadows all of before changing anything related to the VSS setting. Check event viewer for VSS errors, event 18193 VSS errors, 12289 writer failures, 7036 service state changes, get event log VSS source newest 50. Okay, so after that, backup job verification, check Veeam backup application console for scheduled jobs, temporary disable backup jobs during maintenance, verify no Windows Server backup are scheduled. So all of these are done because we are changing or we are restarting the services and changing the volume or shadow copy storage space, I think, okay, before making any changes. So okay, this is because we will delete maybe the shadow copies. So all of this is done, or what we are doing here, we are confirming no backup jobs will work using volume shadow copy before deleting the shadow copies, okay, and the services. So this is a precaution, okay, the good precaution. Again, communication plan, notify help desk of potential VSS unavailability, document estimated maintenance window, have a rollback ready plan. Additional safety measures, export current VSS settings. Okay, this is good. The VSS setting. Okay, this is all maybe because we will, what we need to do, we'll only delete the volume shadow copy, the volume shadow copy backups. We do not change a lot of things, but this is a precaution if you need to have the settings exported. Okay, very good. Okay, would you like to practice creating this documentation and checking these items on test system? Okay, let me guide you through a hands-on practice session for VS troubleshooting documentation. Like to practice documenting everything before making changes. Should I start by running those VSS admin commands you mentioned? Okay, first of all, perfect. Let's create a proper troubleshooting documentation workflow together. Let you set up a structured approach. So we will make a folder, and what we will do, we will create an initial document script, troubleshooting documentation. create an initial documentation script. Okay, so this is a folder and the script or troubleshooting documentation text file, and then gather initial state, the gather VSS writer states, gather VSS provider information. Try running these commands. When you're done, we will look at the VSS analysis text together. What information do you expect to see in the output? Again, what he will do here, he will document computer name. So okay, he will put, okay, so this is the main text. He will put the writers in the text and the providers in the text. So this is a documentation approach. Okay, that's good. Okay, very, very good. All of this, I don't know why he is taking all of these precautions. All we need to do that we need to delete the volume shadow copy. This is copies. This is the one thing. And actually, we have errors concerning the provider. So he has said that maybe the errors, let's go before going deep further in the answer. He's saying that the problem, okay, is solved using this 3 steps. The only thing here he will not do this step. Okay, just a moment, guys. So let's continue, guys. Here we see that Claude is trying to document everything before deleting the shadow copies that was made by the volume shadow copy service to solve a problem concerning the VSS provider. This error, let me show you this error that was encountered by the volume shadow copy provider. He's saying that this error should be solved concerning the provider, or the VSS provider should be solved by restarting the Microsoft software shadow copy provider service, the volume shadow copy service. We have seen this in the answer of Claude, and deleting the shadows or the volume shadow copies. Even though when I asked Perplexity, he didn't say that this could solve the problem. Okay, this is not maybe a part of the solution, but anyway, what Claude is doing here, he is trying to document everything before doing any changes to the volume shadow copy components. One of these components are the copies itself or the backups. Okay, so he's now trying to create a folder and put the documentation in it. He will document all of the writer status and all of the provider status, and then he will begin reading what he has already exported. So he's saying that now when he see the providers, he say, I see list of the writers and providers. I see most writers are showing stable, but there are one showing failed. It's that bad. And as for provider, only see Microsoft software shadow copy provider listed. It's a normal, or should there be more providers? I think uh, here this steps should be the problem, or should be a solution for solving writers problems, not the provider problems. If we go again and make sure he is talking about this error, or talking about errors concerning the provider, again let's read the error. Again he is saying that the shadow copy provider has unexpected error while trying to process the specified operation, or to process the specified operation. So maybe the problem with the provider, okay, he was not able to take a copy or a backup because the writer is failed, okay, or failing. Maybe this is the problem. So let me just make sure that something like this could happen. If we go and ask Perplexity again, I asked Perplexity to give, or I give him the VSS provider error, so and so indicates shadow copy provider encountered an expected error while processing the operation. Error which indicates that the shadow copy encountered an expected error while processing the operation. You can follow these steps. So here he is talking about a couple of steps, restarting. Okay, so I can say that maybe the provider or this error is encountered because the writer is not working properly. So this is maybe an issue. Okay, and again, this simply can be solved by restarting the writer. Okay, why we need to delete the shadow copies? We delete the shadow copies if we have a corrupted or we have an error related to the storage of the shadow copies. Anyway, so he is not giving us uh, and given us a reason why he is deleting all of the shadow copies. Okay, maybe if the writer is trying to communicate, or he will not able, let's see that he will not, again, this should be an error concerning the copies or the shadow copies, not a corrupted shadow copy. We can do this by deleting shadow copies if we have an error related to the shadow copies itself, okay, or to the storage where you store the shadow copies. So why we should do that anyway? So we will try to see or try to continue with the scenario. Now he is trying to back everything up before beginning his troubleshooting or deleting the shadow copies. He is now exporting all of the writers and all of the providers. Now we have a problem with one of the writers, so he is talking about a writer showing fail is a problem that needs addressing. Let's identify which writer is failed and check its associated service. This is will be written in the documentation, and he will get the service and then start, or he will get the writer and its related service and then he will start it. Regarding providers, having only Microsoft software shadow copy provider is normal for most systems. Additional providers would only be present if you have third-party backup software installed. Maybe the Veeam can install its provider, okay, or its volume shadow copy provider. Hardware specific VSS providers like for specific storage arrays. Let's add an event log information for that failed writer. So he's talking about get Windows event. So now he's trying to see this failed writer. So he have already seen an error concerning one of the writers. Now he's trying to get the error related to this writer from the event viewer the past 24 hours. Would you think we should do our next step to address the failed writer? He's saying that looking at the output, it said that Microsoft Hyper-V VSS writer that's failed. So I guess we should restart the service. So it's saying that uh, the Veeam backup failed because the VSS provider could not take a copy of the virtual machine. I think this is it, because I think he's talking about that the Veeam could not take backup of a virtual machine because the VSS provider wasn't able to do so, because the writer concerning the Hyper-V is not working. Okay, this is maybe the issue. Okay, so that's failed. I guess we should restart the server. This document shows the service is running, but it may be stuck. I can try to restart the service, but I am a bit worried about how this might affect running VMs. Should we check something else first? So if you restart uh, uh, the writer, okay, the writer is related to this service. If we restart this service, this may be affect the virtual machines. Excellent caution regarding running VMs. This is exactly the kind of operation awareness we need. Let's handle this methodologically. Again, the situation was not clear. So he's saying that we have an error. He didn't state this error concerning the provider. Uh, which was, or what is the problem? The problem is with the Veeam and related to the VSS provider, and he didn't say it's backing up files or backing up virtual machines. Anyway, let's consider that we have an error. We was not able to back up virtual machines using the Veeam because of this writer problem. So to do that, we need to restart this writer by restarting this service of the Hyper-V, which is related to managing the Hyper-V virtual machines. So maybe if you restart this, it will restart the writer or the Hyper-V VSS writer, but it will also affect the virtual machines. So what we need to do, first we need to assess potential impact, get VM where object state is running. You get all of the running VMs, and then he will export them to a text file. Check if any backup job is in progress to see if we have any backup job is running, maybe from the VM, or the Veeam is trying to backup any job or backup any virtual machine. At the moment we are trying to restart the Hyper-V virtual machine management. Okay, let's see first. I think this command, I don't know if this command is correct or not. Let's see if we can, if there is a command like this or it's not hallucinating. If we go there and search for this commandlet, so I think there is something like that. Okay, so he's getting GP of status. So there is, okay, this is a command related to Veeam. So good, we have a commandlet. Through it we can see if there is any Veeam backup jobs are working concerning virtual machines. So we will get all of the running virtual machines and the Veeam jobs relating to backing up the virtual machines to see if there is anything working or we need to stop a backup job before restarting the Hyper-V virtual machine management service. Okay, before starting, let's try this sequence: get service VMs VMMS. I think this is the service that we need to restart to see if there is any dependencies. So we need to see if this uh, service which will restart to the writer has any dependencies. So if we need, or if we restart this service, if we need to restart other services so this service will work properly. Dependencies, if it is depending upon other services. Let's see here is saying dependencies. Check writer state again to ensure it is not transit. VSS list writers find Hyper-V. Writer status again to ensure it's not transit. We need to make sure that it's now it's working or not stopped. Review recent Hyper-V events. Okay, we will see that, and also export it to a text file. So now we will not restart, we are just making sure we have the recent or the current VMs running and the Veeam backup job, and then we will see get the service VMMS. I think this is, what is the VMMS? I think this is maybe the Hyper-V or this one, Hyper-V virtual machine management. I think this is it. Let's see if this is it. Service, Windows service VMMS virtual machine management service, also known as VMS or A. It's the main module in Microsoft Windows operating system for controlling the virtual machines on a Hyper-V server. So this is a service that we need to make. I think this is the Hyper-V virtual machine management, or it's VMMS. Okay, so he need to see if this service dependent on other services can affect this service. He's talking about dependent service. So for example, maybe the virtual machine management service is affected by other services running. We need to make sure also the dependent services is running. Maybe this is dependent or independent. Let me see something. Maybe he's saying if we restart this service, it will affect other services the other way around. Not that this service depend upon other services, but it is other services are dependent on the VMMS. So I think, let me see, if we run and we go to services, here you go, we go to the services and MMC and run this one. So if we go to any one of these and go to the dependencies, so he's talking about the device depend on the following components. This is the dependencies. Maybe this service depends upon the following services. The following system components depend on this. So we need to talk about this. He's talking about this. If we restart the VMMS service, which it will affect other services. So this is a good approach to know what we should do. And then we need to list the writers again to make sure that the Hyper-V writer is still not working, and then see the errors related to this writer and put it to a text file. Okay, so good. Now we need to, what we need to do, if we need to restart the service, schedule a maintenance window, notify VM owners, consider live migrating critical VMs if it in a cluster, document current VM status. So here, this is a real situation. We need to restart this service to restart the writer. So we need to schedule a maintenance window. I think he needs to maybe shut down these VMs and restart the service. Consider live migrating critical VMs if it is in a cluster. If you need or some VMs are critical, you should not or should not be shut down. Maybe you needed to migrate it to another VM or Hyper-V manager or to another server maybe until you finish restarting the service on this server. Document current VM states. Okay. What else we want to check or document before proceeding with the service restart? Okay, he's saying, oh, this training interaction would continue. Maybe we should check if there is any VM snapshots that might be affected, and I guess we should look at the backup history to see if this writer was failing before or if it is a new issue. I am also wondering if I need to coordinate with other teams since this Hyper-V related, but I'm not sure exactly what commands to use to gather all this information. So again, he's talking about if there is any VM snapshots that might be affected. So maybe when we restart the service, uh, he is suspecting this maybe affect the created snapshots. I don't know what is the relation between restarting the service and the VM snapshots that are taken already. And this, we should go to the backup history to see if maybe you need to go to the VM logs to see if this writer was failing before. I was wondering if you need to coordinate with other teams since this is Hyper-V related. I'm not sure. Okay, so again, the admin great thinking about broader operational impact. Let's add those checks to our investigation. Check VM snapshot status. Okay, VM status. Get for VM each snapshot. Okay, to get every snapshot for each VM, check VM history, VM backup history. So this is also one good thing to see the errors concerning what's here, VM backup history. Okay, so again, we'll try to see any errors related to the Hyper-V writer from the VM backup logs. And again, document existing VM snapshots, NV snapshots, analyzation for each get snapshot. So, okay, maybe he is worried that maybe the snapshots will be deleted or something if we restart the service. Anyway, this is a good precaution because we will restart the Hyper-V service. Okay, this is one thing we need to uh, monitor. Okay, create a change control document. Purpose resolve failed Hyper-V VSS writer. So this is the main issue here. Impact may affect running VMs and backup operations. Coordinator required backup team for ongoing backup jobs. VM owners for running VMs. Storage team if you are using shared storage. Recovery plan. If service start fails, immediate rollback plan. Number 2, contact points for escalation. Verification steps after change. So additional pre-change verification. Check cluster resources if it is in a cluster. Get cluster resources where like virtual machines, select so and so. So he will see if this VMs is on a cluster of hard disks maybe, or a cluster of Hyper-V managers, I think, or Hyper-V servers maybe. So again, this is a good test for, or this is a scenario that is very, very real. If you have a problem concerning the Hyper-V writer, what you should do. So here is giving you a very detailed plan on how to do that, to document everything before changes, uh, or restarting the service, or deleting shadow copy backups. So let's continue and see how this scenario will go. Okay. Would you like to practice creating this change control together and review what verification steps should we include? Okay. Let me create a comprehensive change control for this VSS writer issue. Okay. I'll make a change control document, but I'm not sure what all should be in it. I need to include what we are changing and when, but what else should I add for VSS changes specifically? Okay, senior IT, let's create a detailed change control document together. We will structure this. So this is a change control document. Before doing any changes, we need to document the changes that we will make. So for example, here is the title, Hyper-V VSS Writer Recovery, the date and the status, the date of the date we will do that, and the server name. Situation assessment, failed Hyper-V VSS writer impact, affects VM backup consistency, potential impact on running VMs, backup jobs may fail, pre-change verification, run diagnostic commands. We will export all of the writers, providers, and shadow copies. This is before doing anything, before restarting the service. So, checking running VMs, okay. Verify backup status, check VM backup jobs, document recent backup history, not any failed backup attempts. So this is a very, very good detailed documentation change. Change implementation steps. Stop VM backup jobs. Restart VSS related services in order. COM plus system application, volume shadow copy, Hyper-V virtual machine management. Okay, in order. Verify writer status. Test VSS functionality with disk shadow. So I think now this is a very, very, or this is how explaining his scenario. So the scenario is we having a failed writer. Okay, first of all, he said that maybe it is related to the provider, but when he checked the provider, he didn't see any errors related to the provider. He sees an error relating to the writer or Hyper-V VSS writer. So this is the steps to do so. This is very, very real, I think, because it's not just restarting the service. This will affect a lot of things. Okay, so after the step 3, step 4, rollback plan. If issue occur, return service to original state, restore from system state backup if needed, re-enable backup jobs. So let's see how this will be done. So this is the general plan for the situation where you have a failed Hyper-V VSS writer. Okay, so this is how we can do that. First, he is saying let's fill this documentation. Okay, first here is the Hyper-V writer recovery cluster-wide implementation. This is the date. We have our Hyper-V 01, Hyper-V 02, Hyper-V 03. We have 3 servers. This the affected one is Hyper-V 0 or 01. Related are cluster nodes. So we have Hyper-V cluster. Okay, he is here. The service, or VSS writer, is on Hyper-V 1 server. Okay, so now we need to impact analysis, VM backup jobs, document current backup success rate, list failed jobs due to VSS. Okay, virtual machines. Let's get this list automatically. PowerShell get VMs. We have seen this before. So this is the first thing. The first one is the situation assessment part of the documentation. Then we have pre-change verification, run baseline health check, check cluster health, document VSS writer status. So this is the situation assessment. We have the virtual machines running, and then before doing anything, we need to see the clusters health. We need to list the writers. Okay, and what we need to do after that, we have part 3, implementation steps. pre-implementation checks document Veeam backup jobs. Okay, so this is correct. And after that, verify cluster resources. Okay, so again, we are continuing, or we are following the steps of the documentation. We're applying it to our situation here. Verify cluster resources, backup job handling, disable Veeam jobs, Hyper-V production Veeam backups. We have two jobs. One is running at 11 and the other is running every 4 hours. We need to disable these two jobs. Okay, so here uh, we are disabling the jobs. Then we will have the solution service restart sequence. On HV01 failed writer, we will restart the volume shadow copy service first, then we have ComSys app second, and then the last is the virtual machine management system or service. Then start in certain order. First, this is the Com Plus, then the VSS, I think because the VSS is dependent upon this service, and then VMSS depend upon both, I think. So, one thing here, are the VMs not closed? So he have already shut down the VMs. I think he should do that. So he should stated that we should disable or shut down some VMs, and if there is any VMs that are critical, we should move them, for example, to HV02 or HV03. So this should be stated, but he didn't do that. Anyway, we'll continue with the situation. So we have restarted the services. Now we need to check the Hyper-V VSS writer. We will export and see the writers, and then we will test the VSS functionality. We'll try to do a VSS shadow copy backup using the disk shadow commandlet. Okay, using the script we have done earlier. And then let's see. Would you like to add any specific recovery steps and success criteria for your environment? So this is how you can or when you in a situation where you have the Hyper-V writer failed, okay, because Hyper-V writer failed, so your Veeam backup of the virtual machines is stopped due to this writer. So this is the steps, which is a very common situation. Let's continue developing the change control document with recovery steps and success criteria. For recovery step, I guess we need to make sure we can re-enable the backup jobs and verify they work. So after doing all of this, we need to re-enable the disabled Veeam backup jobs that we have already disabled, these two. So he's saying that we need to re-enable the jobs and maybe test that we can actually take a backup of a VM. So here we are testing that we can take a shadow copy of the C volume, but we are not sure if we can take a backup of the virtual machine. We need to make sure that we can do that. Okay, so we need to re-enable the two VM jobs concerning the virtual machines and try to run them maybe. Okay, so let's see and maybe test it. We can actually take a backup of a VM, but I'm not sure what else we should verify or what could count as success. Senior IT admin, good thinking. Let's add a detailed recovery and success verification step. So step 4, after doing everything, we need to go and immediate post changes check. PowerShell, we need to see the VSS writer status, okay, stable and so on. So then backup job restoration, re-enable Veeam jobs in order, okay, the first one and the second one. Enable critical VM first, this is the first one, and then the second one. Enable first backup and then test backup of smallest VM, so this is a good thing. We need to start the job. If success, re-enable remaining backup jobs. Okay, very detailed and very logical steps to do actually. Okay, then success criteria. VSS writer status, you need to have it stable, no VSS errors in event log for 1 hour. backup jobs test, backup complete successfully, VSS snapshot creation, no VSS timeout errors. Okay, so very good. VM operation, all VMs remain accessible, no unexpected VM state changes, cluster resource remain online, monitoring period 24 hours. We can see the PowerShell script to monitor VSS errors. Okay, and checkpoint 1 hour past change, 4 hour past change, 24 hours post change, sorry. Would you like any specific rollback steps in case of this criteria or this success criteria aren't? So for example, if there is any failure concerning for example, if you have another failure, what we should do? So I think here this is a very good scenario what you should do if you have a problem concerning backing up your virtual machines, especially the Hyper-V virtual machines using the V. So here he is making it step by step. You should see the event viewer errors. You should document everything before changes. You should uh, 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 see the backup jobs related to Veeam. So I think this is a very good thing. I need maybe to give him something here. Tell him before that summarize the whole case until now with commands used. Let's see what he'll do. So here he have already summarized the whole situation here. So this is the situation. First, we have a VSS writer showing failed on HV01 in a node cluster. Now we will list the writers, the providers, the shadow copies, document changes, okay, that what we were talking about. To document everything before going, we gather baseline information, the VMs running, the cluster resources, the jobs of the VM, all of this is done. So again, this step we should export these if you need to export them. So we have seen this thing. He is not giving us the whole script, but he is summarizing what he has done. Okay, so preparation step. So this is the documentation, and this is the VMs and the virtual machines or the cluster, and then we have backup existing states. Then we check VM backup status. Okay, implementing get VM job, disable the jobs before doing that, restart the services, testing by volume shadow copy, and listing the writer, and then monitor for a couple of seconds. So I think this is summarizes everything. So what we need to do, we need to list the writers, the providers, the shadow copies. Then we make a documentation, and then what we need to do here, we are putting the running VMs in this documentation. We will get the cluster resources in this documentation. We will get the VM jobs in this documentation. And then we will list the writers in this documentation, the providers in this documentation, the shadow copies in this documentation. Then we will get the VM backup status backup session if there is any currently running VM backups before restarting the service. Implementation plan, disable jobs if there is any. Then we restart the services in sequences. Then we will test our volume shadow copy service working by the disk shadow, and I think after that we need to run a VM job. This was listed in the previous answer, and then at the end we monitor the situation. I think this is a very, very good case we can work with, simple and easy, but the steps are very, very critical and very, very professional. I think this is very, very good example, and I think we all have a situation like that. So very, very detailed, very, very explanatory. I think this is good, and in the upcoming video I will begin working with other scenarios. So I have a couple of scenarios here also. If I show you all this, I have other scenarios created. So this is another one. In the upcoming video we will begin talking about other scenarios. So here we can see I have other scenarios remaining, so this is a good thing, and uh, we see how the AI can help us in not only giving us solution for problems, but documenting the problems, useful scripts to use. So this is all a good thing. I prefer to use this, and we can see this is already listed by the AI conversation. This will not be listed maybe if you are asking it in a direct way. Anyway, so I think this is a good thing. So I will stop at this. We will explain more cases in the upcoming video. Hope this video informative for you all, and thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.